Come on in, pull up a chair and take a load off because today I am going to be providing a Kickstarter preview for the Varia first person fantasy combat game. And I'll teach you a little bit how to play and give you my thoughts about it right after this. Howdy, 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 gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at the Gaming Gang channel. As I mentioned in the open, I am going to be providing a preview of Varia in just a moment. But first, I do want to mention, hey, if you like this video, give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And of course, if you subscribe, ring that notification because not only will it let you know when I upload videos such as this, it'll also tell you when my live stream, The Daily Dope, airs Monday through Thursday nights right here on YouTube as I bring you the latest in tabletop gaming news. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. So we're taking a look at Varia, which is being touted as a first-person card game. So this is a one-on-one sort of combat game. It is from Guildhouse Games. It is coming to Kickstarter very shortly. So by all means, let's take a peek, see what we've got. So the fine folks over at Guildhouse were kind enough to send along a couple of decks for me to check out. So there are a few cards that are in the decks. You'll have some cards which are going to be available to you all the time. And then you'll have some that you're actually going to have shuffled up in your deck. So I've got the Shadow Assassin versus the Volcanic Warrior. And I'll kind of give you a bit of an idea how the game plays. So what you're going to do is make sure that you've got a 6-sider and a 4-sider available to you. Although I have to laugh, you can cut this out and glue it together and you'll have a 6-sider and a 4-sider. So I had to chuckle because there's one of these in each of the decks, as if you would have easier access to scissors and glue than gamers having access to a 6-sider and 4-sider. I thought that was kind of funny. But hey, you know, covering your bases. That said, there is no rule booklet in these decks. These decks are very, very slim, as you can see. There's no folded up rules. In fact, we get a little image of the character. We open it up, gives us a card count, and learn to play. So it is a learn to play video. I have to be honest, I am not too keen on games that do not provide you with any sort of rules. So for an example, what if we went and we were camping and I thought, oh, hey, you know, I'm going to bring this new card game that I've heard about. And, you know, at night or, you know, when we've got some downtime and we're enjoying, you know, an adult beverage and that, maybe we'll get the chance to play it. But we don't have any Wi-Fi. We don't have any sort of 5G, 4G, anything like that. Well, if you had brought this with, you'd be out of luck because there's no rules. And the how to play is about 10 minutes long. And it's, you know, it's much easier for you to flip a sheet and find where a rule is that you're trying to, you know, figure out, oh, well, hey, so are we supposed to do it this way or that way? As opposed to going back and forth in the video, hoping to try to find the spot where that's being discussed, if it's even discussed. So I did want to float that out. I was a little disappointed that we did not have any rule booklet or a little fold-up sheet with the rules, anything like that. Not to say the game is difficult to understand. It's not. So the cardstock is about what you would expect from, say, Magic the Gathering. So not terrible, not great. So, of course, you would be sleeving these cards as well. there's some discussion that this is a collectible card game. It's really not a collectible card game. What you're doing is you're purchasing these individual decks for the different characters. So we're going to be taking a look. So for an example, I'll give you a closer look at like the Shadow Assassin here. So the Shadow Assassin is going to have some cards that are always available to the character. One is going to be a weapon item. The other is an armor item. And now we're not positive about this because we didn't really see this in the rule video, but each of these decks do have cards that are dual-sided like so. They don't have a backing on it. So our assumption was that these are also items that are available to you all the time. So this is an attack, and that is a defense. So that is kind of how we saw it. No, I might be wrong, though. All right, so you're going to have these available. The Volcanic Warrior, he also has his weapons that are available to him as well at all times for each of the turns. So in each turn, what's going to happen is you're going to have one active player, you're going to have a reactive player. So you're going to start off, you've got a certain number of life points, just like any other game, right? You got your 20. And you're going to start off, you've got your beginning items, and you're going to draw 6 cards. Now, let's say I am the active player. So I would be taking a look here, and I have 10 action points that I can utilize. Now, this is going to show how many action points these cards will cost me to utilize in my turn. We also have here, this is going to show the power. This is also the focus. So the power is kind of like how much damage it does. The focus is how well I can use that attack to attack or defend if it's a defense card. There are some, so for an example here, we got a 3 and a 3. So this means we're going to get a bonus added to the power. Gets a 6-sided die, and the focus gets a 4-sided die. So that's why you see that's a square, and that is an upside down triangle, because there we go. Easy enough to figure that one out. So as I mentioned, you only have 10 action points that you can utilize in your turn. So I am not going to use any rhyme or reason here. I am just going to drop out some cards. So let's say the Shadow Assassin is the active player. So the active player is going to go and say, okay, let's say I'm going to play a Subtle Strike, and I'm also going to play Snake Bite, and then that's going to be it. So I'm going to spend 5 action cards. So when I play these cards are moments. And what's going to happen here is when I'm done playing my moments, so this is the first moment, that's the second moment, there is no limit to the number of moments that can take place in your turn outside of those 10 action points. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, Jeff, how come you didn't spend all 10 action points? Well, you're going to find out in just a moment. So just for the heck of it, let's see. Let's grab something here. Okay, so once I've played my actions for my moments as the active player, then the reactive player gets to place their cards out to coincide with those moments. So for an example, if this is an attack, this is a defense. This is a block. This is an attack. That's a block. You can actually utilize an attack as well to kind of try to, you're basically, it's kind of a duel, right? It's going back and forth, but you could be attacking at the same time. Usually as the active player, you're not going to sit there playing defensive cards because you can easily sit there and not have to play anything like against it. So here's the one thing though. So as the reactive player, you can only play as many moments as the active player has laid out. So even though maybe the reactive player had some cards in their hand, they're like, oh man, I really want to play these. Well, I've only played the 2 here. So that's it. Now, once we've both done that, then we have an opportunity to play fast cards on any moment to kind of boost what's going on in that moment. So as an example here, I've got, this is my weapon for the Shadow Assassin. It's the Bowie knife. So it's going to give me, it's going to cost me 3 action points. And it says fast. You may plan this action in both the fast action and fast reaction steps. You may plan this action as a combo or as a replacement. Attacks and blocks cannot be combined. So as an example, maybe I had sat there and I had played as a reaction. Maybe this was the active player and I had a defensive card out there. Maybe I decide, oh, I'm going to swap it up. I'm going to use the Bowie knife as a fast action. Not to utilize terminology from other card games, because that's kind of a crutch, but I do understand that this will be a game that people who tend to play, say, Magic the Gathering are probably going to be interested in. And I come from the old days of Magic the Gathering, so we used to call those instants. So that's kind of what that is. It's another reaction card that can be played. And each of the decks will have a few fast cards, not tons of them, but just a few. So then what'll happen here is each of the players are going to roll to see what happens. So the important die here is the focus die. That's the first one you're kind of really looking at, because as an attack, my focus plus the value down here, which is a 3, I have to, as an attacker, as someone attacking. Now remember, this, because I went first, didn't make me the attacker. It made me the active player, because you can attack as the reactive player. So I'm going to roll my 4-sided die, and I'm going to add 3 to it. I need to equal or exceed the focus of the opponent's card in that moment, which these combat reflexes, that's a 5. So first off, we would both be rolling, and we just roll it at the same time. So I would have a 4 and a 3, so that's a 7. So if my opponent only rolls a 1 or a 2 on their 4-sider, my attack's actually gonna take place. And then what you do is you're going to add the power to your power die. So that'd be 7. And then, of course, the difference between their power die and your power die is going to be how much damage you deal out. So, and that's essentially what you're going to do in your turn. You're going to be playing cards as the active player, and the reactive player is going to play cards in reaction to that. Then you'll have an opportunity to play fast cards if you've got them in your hand. So for an example, I've got Wave the Blade. If your target is attacking you with a physical action, both this action and your target's action are treated as they are unopposed. So I get to sit there and be like, okay, so I play that. So one of the kind of interesting aspects of this would be, let's say as an example, I had played, let me just grab a card here. So I had 5, let's say I played let's say Phantom's Kiss, right? Before I had the reactions, right? Before the reactive player played their cards. So I was using up my 10, well, I've got 9 of the 10 action points spent, right? So let's say, don't pay too much attention to what I'm playing out here, right? I'm just dropping these out here to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. So I spent my 10 action points, or 9 of the 10. I can go over the 10. Now I can go over the 10 as I plan this out. I can go over the 10 when I play the fast cards as well. So as an example here, let's say if I played this fast card, the Way of the Blade, now that's 9 action points plus 4, that's going to be 13. So how can you pay for that, right? I only have 10. Well, what happens is this card will be queued up. It'll be queued up for the next turn. So this becomes my first card of the next turn. I thought that was kind of interesting how you do that. Once again, you may not necessarily want to spend all your points right up front and then start playing fast action cards and then have these queue out, because it can be a little confusing. But I thought that was kind of interesting as well. So, of course, you're going to play until one of the characters has their life force depleted. There are some other aspects as well. So you can disengage, which puts you kind of at a further range. You just kind of move that card back. It'll tell you you can disengage. There are ranged attacks. So for an example, if this was a ranged attack, they could attack this disengaged character. There are cards that if you're disengaged, it'll have you engage. So there's a lot going on in the game, but not necessarily difficult for you to figure out how to play. The artwork on the cards is nice, reminiscent of many other collectible card games or living card games that are out there. Some of the cards I will mention feature artwork that don't seem to jive with the actual character, but I think it's because some of these cards are utilized by more than one type of character. I think there's 7 or 8 different characters that are available as decks, and I believe the Kickstarter will include some additional ones as well. All right, so that in essence is how you play Varia. Let's move on over to the other camera, and I will give you my final thoughts. And I don't provide review scores on Kickstarter previews because I'll tell you, this is really close to being the finished product, I'm sure. But it's not the finished product. This is not what's going to be in stores or available through online retailers. So I do not do a review score on my Kickstarter previews. That said, I can tell you what I think of the game, right? So I enjoyed it. Cameron enjoyed it as well. My nephew Cameron, who's part of the gang. I gotta say, I like the artwork. I like the moments. I thought that was kind of cool, where it's sort of like, as opposed to I play a card and you can react to me playing that card. I kind of plot out my actions, and then you plot out your reaction to that, or I'm doing vice versa, right? I like that. I thought that was very interesting. I will say that is probably going to be a sticking point with people who play a lot of other sorts of CCGs or LCGs out there, because a lot of times the CCGs share very similar mechanics. But once you learn how to play, it's all good. But I also have to say, and I mentioned this when I was kind of showing you how to play, I really don't like the fact that you don't have rules. And I know, you can go on Board Game Geek. I'm sure they got rules to download there. You got rules online. You got the video you could watch. Yes, I get that. I completely understand that. But if I open up a game box, and granted, this is just a little deck of cards, right? I want to be able to know how to play, even if I got to look up FAQs or errata, anything like that. I like to know how to play opening the box. I don't want to have to utilize the interwebs to find out how to play. Minor critiques, all in all, but I like the back and forth. I like the dueling aspect of the game. It really does feel like, you're seeing some shifts in momentum. I like the fact that even if you're the reactive player, you can still attack. There's nothing stopping you from attacking. I gotta say, the volcanic warrior has this like massive decapitation attack that is kind of insane. And I think each of granted, I only have 2 of the character decks. they do play a little bit differently. You can see the focus is a little bit different as how you're going to approach playing that character. Or like the Volcanic Warrior is more kind of back and forth, engaging, disengaging, using powerful attacks, but leaving himself open for some pretty good counterattacks. Whereas the Shadow Assassin is a little more like a dexterity kind of character, more like fast reactions and things like that. All in all, I like Varia. I would think the biggest aspect of this card game, as far as if you should back it, if you should pick it up, or once the Kickstarter is successful, if you should buy the game in stores when it comes out, is going to be price point, because it is a card game. Hopefully it's not going to have a very high price point to get engaged in Varia. All right, that's it. So, like I said, I liked it. We had a good time. It didn't blow my mind. I'll be the first to point out that, but I would definitely play it again. Doesn't take the duels don't like overstay their welcome. They don't take too long. I would certainly be interested in checking out some of the character decks, other character decks as well. So definitely give this a peek. And if you dig combat games and card games and CCGs and LCGs, it is certainly worth taking a look at. All right, that is it for this time out. Once again, if you like this video, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you do subscribe, ring that notification bell, because it'll tell you when I upload videos like this, but it'll also let you know when my live stream, The Daily Dope, airs right here on YouTube, Monday through Thursday nights, as I bring you the latest in tabletop gaming news. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. All right, so I will see you next time. And of course, during this pandemic, this never-ending pandemic, let me once again wish everybody out there hopes that you are being smart and staying safe. Catch you next time. Oh, you're still here. Well, once again, thank you very much for watching this video. And of course, if you'd like to subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel, click right here. And of course, if you want to see one of the latest episodes of the Daily Dope, click right on up here. And if you want to roll the dice, take your chances, see what YouTube thinks you might like from the channel, give a click right here. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, and I'll see you next time.